Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We're virtual only, based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the thought behind the thought in terms of eschatology, the study of the end of days, what you need to know, your reality, our existence, what's going on in the world. We solve pieces of Revelation, like today. You could say we're arguing Revelation 6, 9 through 11, the fifth seal. Also, Revelation 13, 7 through 10, talking about persecution against believers or against people that God loves. And we're citing at first here on the Jews and their lies. Martin Luther, yes, he started his faith, the Lutheran faith, but he also wrote some horrible things about the Jews, basically saying, kill them out, burn them out, things like that. And that was his treatise from 1536. There are other people that embrace the same type of anti-Semitism or supersessionism or whatever you want to describe it as. John Piper is one of those guys. I've never liked him because he's been a cessationist, partially, not always, but he hung with those guys. He's a Calvinist, and I believe that Calvinism is anti-God. So this is something from First Fruits of Zion from a few years ago. Israel, the Church, and God's Promises, a response to John Piper's Israel, Palestine, and the Middle East. He's always going to argue his way. He's a yappy dog. Okay, you'll see a lot of yappy dogs. They're cursing people in this whole video. John Piper embraces replacement theology, also known as supersessionism. All followers of Christ and only followers of Christ will inherit the earth, including the land. So it has to be his Christ, his type of Christ, his whatever he happens to believe, or he hates you. Okay. On the other side here, the promises made to Abraham, including the promise of the land, will be inherited as an everlasting gift only to the true John Piper spiritual Israel, not disobedient, unbelieving Israel. Piper has accepted the supersessionist teaching of Justin Martyr, a church father, yes, it's been going on for thousands of years, in the early second century, that the church is the one true spiritual Israel that replaces the old Israel. It's spiritual. It's a spiritual battle, people, and you're seeing more of it. Piper was predestined to choose against Israel. Okay, so once again, it's First Fruits of Zion. You can see the article there if you'd like to click it and read it for yourself. We do the thought behind the thought. What's going on right now? I think it's Ezekiel 34. We'll get to it as we go through. Luther was part of it, but Justin Martyr started out, then Luther, then it's how do you read the Bible? How do you interpret prophecy? How do you study the news? Let's go. So it starts out with Genesis 12, 1 through 3. I will bless those. Now, Adonai said to Abraham, technically in this case, get yourself out of your country, away from your kinsmen, away from your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you are to be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse anyone who curses you. That's how I literally interpret that. He will bless, God will bless those that bless the seed of Abraham, and I will curse anyone who curses you. Yes, there's some Pauline stuff involved in this too, but the bottom line is it's a blessing or a curse. Be on the right side. And by you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. It's not a conditional contract. It's just basically a blessing or a curse, one side or the other side. And you're seeing anti-Semitism increase. It goes in waves, people. It's not always horrific, but it's going to get worse as we go forward now. This is from just today, basically, Elad Simchayoff. We're witnessing the first global intifada led by peace activists. A hateful mob in Melbourne, Australia, stormed an Israel-owned restaurant while shouting murderous death to the IDF chant. Later, a synagogue was torched while Jewish families were inside. And this is the IDF where they lost 7 soldiers. So it's just interesting to see this. And then on the other side here, we have the curse, death to the IDF. And you see what they're talking about, okay? It's increasing. It's going to get worse. This is from a wonderful lady, Ayan Hirsi Ali, and she's talking about a 400% spike in anti-Semitic incidents in Europe after October 7th, 500% spike in U.S. college campuses, 10,000 incidents in 1 year in the U.S. alone. Are we witnessing a terrifying global surge? Never against, well, it's now. So these are the incidents going on. And she gives you the statistics. Now, Noah Tishby was on Bill Maher. Antisemitism is on the rise. 82% of Jewish Americans noticed an increase in anti-Semitism. More than 50% of Jewish students feel the need to hide their identity, and the FBI found anti-Semitic attacks are up 16% across the country. Since October 7th, 2023 anti-Semitism in Canada has surged 670%. Synagogues are being firebombed in Jewish schools. Yeah, it's horrible. That's the Free Press. Okay, May 8th. So, what's going on? Will the overexposed squad take the Democrats over the cliff? This is back in 2019. We knew that they were dangerous, but there was only 4 of them. They're yappy dogs. This is PBS talking about it. But they've gotten worse, and they're getting more people on board. Yes, so the squad members oppose House resolution condemning global rise of anti-Semitism. It's very interesting to see, people. Very, very interesting. So this is Ilhan Omar, she's from my state, from right down the block of my place. Rashida Tlaib, Democrat from Michigan. Cori Bush, Democrat, I assume Missouri. And say no to the House Resolution 1449, which calls on countries to counter anti-Semitism, from NBC Montana. This is fairly current, from November 21st of 2024, from NBC Montana again. They're yappy dogs. We're used to it, but they're building steam now. Democrats suddenly hate Jews in Israel. By the numbers, even CNN's expert pollster shocked by how anti-Israel Dems have become. This is from Virginia Kruta from Daily Wire. Ben is Shapiro. Shapiro is one of the owners of Daily Wire. Oh my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So even CNN's chief data analyst was shocked when he looked at the polls showing the dramatic shift from the Democrats, or lack thereof, for Israel, particularly among younger Democrats. Yeah, it's shifting badly in less than a decade. Harry Enton went over the numbers with CNN Katie Bouldain on Wednesday morning and showed just how much the Democratic Party has changed with regard to support for Israel. And while he noticed that the wildest swing was among youngest Democrats under the age of 50, even those over 50 had made a sizable shift away from supporting the Jewish state. So it's a curse. That's what they want. They want their curses. They're going to get their curses. This is from The Guardian magazine. The new definition of anti-Semitism is transforming America and serving a Christian nationalist plan. Itamar Mann and Lehi Yonah, redefining anti-Semitism in the law that was never about Jewish safety. It was about consolidating authoritarian power over the veneer of minority protection. That's from March 23 of 2025. Smearing progressive Jews as not real Jews has ramifications that are eternal, far beyond the Jewish community, serving a conservative Christian strategy to exploit religious liberties for the sake of suppressing progressive values. One way conservatives can eliminate the risk to project it is by questioning liberal Jews' Jewishness. If liberal Jews can be erased, either pushed out of the public eye or denied as genuine or authentic specimens of Judaism, then the challenge of liberal Jews disappears with it. Hitler never asked Jews to define themselves. He killed them for the spiritual reason that they are Abraham's seed. And it's odd that he didn't kill many others. Okay, so continuing on, we've seen this for years again, but it's getting worse now. Tucker wasn't a strong anti-Semite years ago, nor was Candace Owens, but now they're bad. So they both have flipped over to the other side. I watched Rick Wiles back in 2020 flip over, and once he terminated one contract with the person that brought in three of his cronies, he hated Jews, and he was unwatchable after that point. So it's the curse, and so they're yappy dogs. But when you see these people like Tucker and Candace and Rick Wiles siding with the other white nationalists or the neo-Nazis or the skinheads, when you see them on that side, so it's blessings or curse, people. It's as simple as that. You are either a blessing or a curse. And so you can see the names on the other people. I don't care to state any more of the names. But when you're on that side, you're cursing. That's how it works. It's as simple as that. This is a curse too. But this is the problem. It's not just typical Christians that are deceived. It's people that are technically on my side, so they understand Judaism, but they hate the rabbis. So this is Stephen Ben-Danoon and his wife. He's a yappy dog. He's a horrible, horrible human being. And so he thinks that there are roving bands of Noahide rabbinic Jews that are going to go out and take you out. Okay? It's not the case. And so he's just a yappy dog, and he just irritates you so badly. And then Stephen Pigeon, Dr. Stephen, nice enough fellow, but he's there's something wrong with his mind, because he got together with Stephen Ben-Noon, and they're yappy dogs now, and they think that this Noahide deal is actually a big deal. It's not. And then you've got this guy. So this guy is Parable of a Vineyard, Adam Fink. He's from Nixa, Missouri, and he calls everything a synagogue of Satan. He's a yappy dog. He's horrible. And he wants to curse the Jews. So it's a blessing or a curse. He went with the curses. This is my former co-host, Scott Harwell, Jeff Brannon, and Abraham Ojeda cursing the Jews. And so if you want to see Scott go nuts, show him the Jewish star, show him the Hanukkah, any of those things. He goes nuts. He's just gotten worse and worse and worse. These are yappy dogs. And poor Jeff Brannon, he got roped into this. He's not an evil man, but man, he got roped into this. So what did Scott have to say? Israel is not just a location. True Israel are all those who are in Scott's covenant. Because that's the problem. He's removed God's covenant. He has set up his own covenant. Yeshua pointed out, he gives his dates and whatever else, time frames. Even being the legitimate seed of Abraham does not mean a person serves Yud He Vav He. If Yeshua were to preach Mark 7, Matthew 15, or Matthew 23 in America, the word made flesh would be called anti-Semitic. So join myself and these guys. And the real question is, are you the Scots Israel of God? Because he's become God himself. A horrible human being. I've been on shows with him, and he's gotten progressively worse. And it's a spiritual issue. Keep in mind that if you know Scott's family, nearly all of them are mentally or physically ill, okay? There are reasons, and those curses are bearing fruit. These are the blessing people. John Haller, Mark Biltz, Rico Cordes. Wonderful, they bless Israel. Scott hates Jews, they love Jews, and they bless Jews, okay? The main thing is the Bible talks about blessings, and really what John Haller stated to me is, I think I read Romans 9 through 11 properly. So, but if some of the branches were broken off and you, a wild olive, were grafted in among them and have become equal sharers in the rich fruit of the olive tree, then don't boast as if you were better. And Scott Harwell constantly does that. He's better than the branches. He's not. Okay. However, if you do boast, remember that you are not supporting the root. Scott is not. And the root is supporting you. Romans 11, 17 through 18. Okay. Three good guys, Haller, Biltz, Rico Cordes, good guys. Keep in mind, you can trust them to bless Israel. And then you've got church fights, and these people tend to cause the church fights. What if Satan starts these? What if Satan's behind this problem? Well, it's a spiritual issue. Titus 3, 10 through 11. Warn a divisive person twice, then have nothing more to do with them. I left Prophecy Roundtable because Scott is divisive. He hates Jews. 2 Timothy 3:5 warns that having a form of godliness but denying its power, and advises to have nothing to do with such people. 2 Corinthians 6:17 warns believers to come out from among them and be separate. You either bless or curse. That's it. So this is Luther again, and so you can read it for yourself. You can see the right-wing anti-Semitism, the Goyim Defense League, the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists. When you are agreeing with them, you're in the curse side, okay? And Luther agreed with them. Once again, his book, if you want to read it, you can. It's just a curse factory, and it's coming back again. The Old Glory Club, KKK, American Nazi Party, Traditionalist Worker Party, all of these things, and the witches for that matter too. But it's spiritual. It is. Okay, so be aware. Be careful. They're yappy dogs. So what I'm arguing is coming is God is separating the sheep from the sheep. So we'll go through a little bit of Ezekiel 34 so you can get the general feel of what's going on. He will be using a means of separation. I'm saying that he's already separated people like John Piper and the Calvinists based on they believe that God is the whole tulip thing. I'll go through the tulip some other time, the 5 points. But the main thing is now it's the anti-Semites coming into this too, as God blesses his land and his people. The Nar people are an interesting thing. That's Paula White and other people that think God is going to give them the wealth. And, he's not going to. They're not going to be wealthy, okay? We're going to go in poor, okay, in the last 7 years, okay? Someone will be called like filthy sheep. We must discern. Don't be a yappy dog. So once again, Ezekiel 34, we'll go through a little bit of that. So woe to the shepherd. So the word of Adonai came to me. human being, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy. Tell them, the shepherds, that Adonai Elohim says, woe to the shepherds of Israel who feed themselves. Shouldn't the shepherds feed the sheep? You eat the choice meat. You clothe yourselves with the wool. You slaughter the best of the herd, but you won't feed the sheep. Okay? And that's the problem. They'd rather curse than bless. So they'll get the curses, definitely. Okay? So in Ezekiel 34 again, 11 through 13, for here is what Adonai Elohim says, I am taking over. I will search for my sheep and look after them myself, just as a shepherd looks after his flock when he feeds himself among his scattered sheep. So I will look after my sheep. I will rescue them from the places where they are scattered. When it was cloudy and dark, I will bring them back from those peoples, gather them from those countries, and return them to their own land. Then I will let them feed on the mountains of Israel, by the streams and all the livable places of the land. So there will be Aliyah. He will bring them back. It's not going to be people that hate the Jews coming back as if they replace. So we'll go through all the titles in a few minutes. Let's get through Ezekiel 34. So, as for you, my flock, Adonai Elohim says this, I will judge between sheep and other sheep, between rams and billy goats. Wasn't it enough for you to feed on the best pasture and drink from the clearest water? Did you have to trample the rest of the pasture and foul the remaining water with your feet? So now my sheep, eat what you have trampled with your feet and drink water fouled by your feet. Therefore, here's what Adonai Elohim says to them. I will judge between the fat sheep and the thin sheep. So that's what he's going to do. And I think part of that issue is Genesis 12:3. So let's go through the different groups that you could call them. And once again, don't let these people that hate the Jews and hate Israel define themselves. You can define them as anti-Semites, anti-Israel, supercessionism, anti-Noahide, replacement theology, not real Jews. That's one of their monikers. Synagogue of Satan, cursing the Jews. They're just nasty people. They're yappy dogs, and they spew curses. Don't listen to their curses. They're land thieves. They're part of ISIS and Hamas. They basically quote the same things. So don't allow them to define themselves. Don't and be on the right side. If God says, I will bless those that bless you, then be a part of that. So how do you feel about Israel? If Jews don't believe in the Jesus that's your way, do you curse them? You're on the wrong side. Okay, maybe those wars will force you to stand with or against Israel. That's what's coming. And Israel, Gaza, and how it's tearing your family and your friends apart from USA Today. It is tearing people apart. Guess what? I think God is sending this to cause the Ezekiel 34 situation of separating, okay? Dehumanizing Minnesota Democrats infighting on Israel-Hamas war boils over. Yeah, that's from Alpha News. The situation resembles many across the U.S. and the rest of the world as people grapple with differing opinions among friends, family, and colleagues. A college group text devolving because no one can agree. Millennials walking on eggshells for fear of upsetting their Gen Z partners. Yeah, that's what's happening. So he's testing us, I think. Now, God has already separated people out. Ravi Zacharias, he became a curse, because he lived his life by saying, Jesus, 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 but he was abusing women the whole way through. Mike Biltz, Jesus, 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 abusing the whole way through. And there's many more. There's Robert Morris. There are so many of these men that have been judged or will be judged and have been kicked out, okay? I believe that we're coming to another time where these people that are in the church and hate Israel or in the church and hate Jews, their judgment is coming. Okay? For the time has come for the judgment to begin. It begins with the household of God. And if it starts with us, what will be the outcome for those who are disobeying God's good news? If the righteous is barely delivered, where will the ungodly and the sinful end up? 1 Peter 4:17 and 18. The millstone comes at some point in time for certain people, okay? I prophesy this is the problem. They've been saying for years that they prophesy to these women that they're a hot little concubine and don't tell my wife about it. So basically, these men have been judged and will be judged. What causes biblical tameh? There's tahor, which is clean, ritually pure, and then there's tameh, which is ritually impure. And so, according to the rabbis, they claim that it's from hand washing. No, not according to Yeshua, who is our authority. But the main thing is, I want you to be aware that certain things make you unclean. So anyway, Kepha, Peter, said to him, explain the parable to us. He said, don't you understand even now? Don't you see that anything that enters the mouth and goes into the stomach and passes out into the latrine, but what comes from your mouth is actually coming from your heart. The curses that come from your mouth are coming from your heart, and that it is what makes a person unclean, in this case to me. For out of the heart comes forth wicked thoughts, murder, adultery, and all kinds of sexual immorality, theft, lies. I would say lies against the Jews, slanders definitely against Israel and the Jews. These are what really make a person unclean. But eating without doing, the hand washing, it's yada is in there, the hands, not yada, that would be knowing, but the hands, yad is the hand, and that's basically nitalat yadaim, does not make a person unclean. It's what comes out of your mouth. It's your blessings or your curses. If you don't know the difference, just bless the Jews and bless Israel. Okay? Where are we right now? We're in the birth pangs. We are not in the tribulation. We are not in the great tribulation, but we're being divided right now. And it's over the Jews and Israel. Be on the good side. Bless. Just bless. Don't curse. Okay? That's what you need to work on, because you can't have clean garments and be filthy, and have these curses all over you. Have the blessings all over you. You're getting married. It's a wedding on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, Sukkot of a future year. You need clean garments. Be on the side of God. Okay, remember Joshua coming to the angel and saying, which side are you on? Blessings, not curses. It's a wedding. Come for the blessings. Be blessed. Thank you very much for your time. Be a part of the blessings, people. Don't join in with the curses. Don't wear that around your neck.